Good. Yeah. All right. How's it going?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
Not too bad, man. Another beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. Yeah, sure is.
So
So what
thanks
do you
for
want
the,
to do?
well, I was gonna
Sorry.
say thanks for jumping on here with me. And I know you got something that you want to show me here.
Yeah, of course. So we were talking about this awesome opportunity, Max, for business owners who you know had a hard time in the last couple of years due to uh, COVID-related government shutdowns that crushed their businesses. And there's an opportunity that business owners have, and many of them don't know that they have this opportunity to be able to claim some cash from the IRS, um, cash injection into the business that will help them survive and thrive coming out of the last couple of years. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I think that you may have some business owners in your network that I really believe would benefit from this.
Sure.
So what it is the program is called the ERC, or Employee Retention Tax Credit. And what it is, it's an IRS administered fund that
Okay.
was put in place by the CARES Act, that was signed into being by Congress in 2020. And the CARES Act is all about economic stimulus in the wake of sort of the COVID pandemic, which obviously crushed a lot of businesses, particularly in this case. So what it
Sure.
is I think of it as a wages payback program. So any business, any qualifying business owner whose business suffered during 2020 and 2021, but who also was able to retain and pay their W-2 employees. This program, administered by the IRS, and by the way, there's $400 billion worth of fund available here. This
Wow.
program will pay some portion of those wages back to the business owner, up to $26,000 per W-2 employee, as a way of acknowledging the fact that they were able to continue paying, but it was difficult for them to do so. So this fund pays back the business owner up to $26,000 per W-2 employee that they retain. So it's pretty awesome. We have an average claim of around $150,000 for clients that we work with,
Oh, wow.
which is a lot of money. And really, sometimes it's life-saving money for businesses that are struggling to come out of sort of COVID impact and maybe concerned about going into another recession. So it's a really amazing, actually, piece of abundance that this program brings to business owners.
So, Greg, pretty much and to making sure that I'm getting the gist here
Mhm.
is that we have this IRS funding that's coming for, and correct me if I'm wrong here, business owners that um, didn't let their employees go during COVID and the events of 2020, 2021. And so because they paid them and continued to pay them even while they were shut down or on hold or restricted in some sense, the IRS is giving a pretty much a grant back to those businesses that decided to ethically continue to pay their employees even when they weren't able to bring in business.
Absolutely, and they may have been able to continue bringing in business, and we'll talk about the qualification um, criteria in a second. They may have been able to continue bringing in business, but there were some other impacts on their business that had a more than material or nominal impact on their business operations. So we'll talk about that as to how businesses qualify too.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, let's jump into it.
Cool. So what I'll do is, why don't I go ahead and share my screen here, and I'll show you a flyer that we have, and it'll show all the qualification criteria. So let's go there.
All right.
All right. So what I'm showing here on my screen is firstly that business owners, as I mentioned, are able to claim up to $26,000 per W-2 employee that they retained in 2020 and 2021. Okay, that's the high level. And as I mentioned, it's an IRS stimulus payout that can provide a really significant, very important cash benefit to business owners, eligible business owners who struggled during COVID, right? So, but we're also able to retain their employees. So here are some things that if a business owner is thinking about whether they might be eligible, here are some signs that you probably are eligible. And I'll say this before I go into it. You know, it is estimated that anywhere up to 75, 80% of businesses in America, small businesses in America, are probably eligible for this. and most do not even know about it. So it's a crazy opportunity, and it's our mission to make sure that as many business owners as possible know about this. So in terms of qualifying criteria, the first criteria, of course, is that those businesses retained and paid W-2 employees. Now, it's important to note that even if the majority owner of the business, was paid as a W-2, owners do not count into this program, nor do immediate family members. So this would only be W-2 employees outside of the family of the owner that we're able to claim for. Secondly, these are the three main qualifying events, so to speak, that we need to think about when qualifying a business. The first one is a significant revenue reduction. So if the business experienced in any quarter of 2020, or rather quarter 2, 3, and 4 of 2020 versus the same quarter 2019, a more than 50% revenue reduction, that would qualify that particular quarter for the ERC. Okay, and for 2021, if in any quarter of 1, 2, or 3 of 2021 versus the same quarter in 2019, they had a 20% or more reduction in revenue, that would qualify those quarters for the ERC. Just a bit of background what I'm talking about here. There are 6 quarters of impact that a business can claim for that we would try and qualify businesses for. And as I mentioned, that's quarter 2, 3, and 4 of 2020 and quarters 1, 2, and 3 of 2021. 6 quarters. If we qualify you for all 6 quarters, you get the maximum potential claim.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so that's the first way of qualifying, is a revenue reduction. The second way of qualifying is what we call a supply chain disruption. So this is for any business that relies on being able to source critical inventory, parts, accessories, etc., for their business in order for their business to run. So for a retail store, for example, it's inventory. Likewise for a restaurant. Maybe for a service business, it's being able to source parts, maintenance parts for equipment. Maybe for example, a roofing company being able to get shingle. Construction companies being able to get
Wood.
lumber, for example, was a really big deal and continues to be so. So any delay or disruption in the sourcing of that material for those in any of those 6 quarters would qualify a business for the ERC. Now, it's important to note that does not require an overall revenue reduction at all. It just requires that for the particular item that they couldn't source, there was a more than nominal impact on the business operation.
So they had to meet all 3 of those, or just one of the 3?
Just one of the 3, and it can be a mix and match. It can be a mix and match thing. So they may have had in quarter 2 of 2020 revenue reduction, quarter 3 and 4 of 2020 supply chain, and then for all quarters in 2021, it can be full or partial suspension. So we will look for all ways to qualify those quarters, and it doesn't have to be all 3.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that's so that's supply chain disruption. And the last one here, it's a pretty broad one, but it's called a full or partial suspension of business. So the definition of this is that for any business who was impacted by a government-related ordinance, whether state, local, or federal, that in any way restricted their business in terms of sort of face-to-face work. So, for example, if in the client's location there was a stay-at-home order for some period of time, or a reduction in capacity in store, or an inability for business owners and their teams to meet with clients either in their business or on site, anything like that would qualify as a full or partial suspension of business, which would qualify that quarter for the ERC.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, we use the word stimulus here,
Right.
And that's kind of a word that a lot of people kind of, feel iffy about, because they understand where sometimes getting a stimulus check doesn't actually stimulate the economy.
Right.
So, how would this be different from just getting a stimulus check to your business kind of thing?
So in some ways, well, this is certainly a stimulus program, and the way that I think the IRS is doing it is that previously they were handing out stimulus checks to individuals, but this is a sort of an extension of that, whereby they're paying business owners large chunks of money. Why? Because business owners pay wages. Business owners invest in their businesses and in their local community, and so this money is more likely to get out and be used in a useful and productive and compounding way. So that's how I believe the IRS is intending this stimulus payment to work.
Gotcha. Okay, and so I'm just going to break this down too, because I learned this in economy class several years ago with Bobby Eason, actually,
Okay.
and he drew out this circular motion here where it was, if the business is bringing in money, then they can pay employees, which are people of the community, and they also offer a service, right, which helps the community. And then because the people in the community are getting paid, then they're going to spend more with the community, the businesses in the community. So it's a cycle that continues to go around.
It's a virtuous cycle. Cash comes in and it stays within the community and is used. It's used effectively by both the business owners and their employees, and it brings prosperity, lifts all boats, right?
Okay. And because we're not just giving consumers money to go spend, we're giving businesses money to pay their employees, which essentially is a much better move there for the economy and for the whole system to work.
True, and it's important to point out the next point on my on this fly here is the PPP. So the difference here between the ERC and the PPP, the PPP or the Payroll Protection Program was specifically designed as a loan, first of all, and there was some mandated requirement for business owners to use it towards payroll. Okay, the ERC is different. It's not a loan. Firstly, it doesn't have to be paid back, and secondly, there is no mandated requirement for the business owner to use it on anything. They don't have to pay payroll if they've already got payroll covered. They can use this to invest in new equipment, new facilities, to grow and expand their businesses, right? So there's more flexibility here for the business owners to be able to use this money in the ways that they see fit, rather than being mandated towards one particular spending channel, as the PPP was. So not a loan and no requirement to spend it in any particular way, up to the discretion of the business owner. And another point on the PPP here is that previously, if you claimed the PPP, you couldn't claim the ERC. It's really important that people know that this has changed. You can now claim both. And so therefore, if you claim PPP, it's a really good indication that you're probably going to be eligible too for the ERC. So don't be told, or don't allow yourself to be told by people that are not up to date with the code that that because you have PPP, you can't get ERC. That's no longer true.
Good point. Good point. Okay. Yeah. And so because a lot of these guys probably, like you said, have already covered paying their employees, but they might need new equipment or other supply chain issues that have happened. Absolutely. That they need to invest in their company for.
That's exactly right.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. And the PPP is a good indicator that they probably will qualify for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point that I made before about not allowing yourself to be told that you don't qualify, many businesses that we've worked with rightfully ask their accountants or CPAs about this. And we love accountants, and CPAs are an essential part of any business operation. But they sometimes are not as well versed in the ERC tax code, 400 pages of tax code, as we are. So they may simply be looking at revenue reduction, because that's what CPAs look at. They look at the numbers, and they may be missing these other non-revenue qualifiers that we specialize in. So before you get told you're not eligible by an accountant or a CPA, it's really worth digging a little deeper, and we ERC Help Desk will help businesses do that. Okay,
perfect. So how would they, what link would they use? Or I know you got a QR code up there. How would they see if they do qualify and get in contact with one of us?
Yeah, we want to make it really, really simple. So if you're able to scan that QR code, it'll take you directly into a qualification survey via our landing page, via our homepage. And I'm sure, Max, you'll have a link in your bio too. So as soon as they land on the homepage, they click see how much you can claim button. It'll take the client or the business owner into a quite a simple 10-minute survey, and through a series of questions, we'll take them through the three sections we've already spoken about: revenue reduction, supply chain disruption, and full or partial suspension. And at the end of all those questions, the business owner will understand how they qualify and have a very good idea of how much they might be able to claim. And that also brings the client into our CRM so that we can follow up with them, answer any questions, and ultimately pull the client through to being able to do a claim for them which of course we won't do until they give us their approval. The last
Sure.
step of that process, once they're in our system, is that they simply provide us with payroll information, because it is a payroll payback program. We need to know what payroll was, and also the 941 tax forms. And then we do all the calculations, and then come back to the client with a summary and a request for approval to file on their behalf. That's really straightforward.
Okay. So it's almost like, once they click the link in my bio, it'll take them where they need to go. And then it can just kind of funnel them through the qualification process to get in contact with us.
Absolutely. And all the way through that process, they're going to be getting a series of emails and SMSs. Firstly, confirming the steps that have already been taken and reminding them of the steps that will need to be taken. Now, all the way throughout that communication, my email's there, my phone number's there. And I take a lot of questions and calls from clients and help them as best I can to get them through. So they're never going to be in the dark or feel like they're not being sort of shepherded well through the process. We'll always do our best to make sure that all questions are answered.
Good deal. Well, that sounds pretty straightforward. I'm excited to see who we can help with this. And I've got a series of people that I've been thinking of as you're telling me about this that I think can definitely benefit from, because they rightfully so were keeping their employees during those tougher quarters like you were talking about.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, like I said, most well, if we believe the stats, up to 70-80% of business owners do qualify. And they
Right.
either think that they either think they don't because they got PPP, or their accountant told them they didn't, or they simply have never heard of this program because they're too busy running their businesses, right? So I feel like it's our responsibility to let them know and then help them through and understand how this might benefit them in terms of a cash injection.
Good deal. Well, I'm excited to get this started. I'm going to be making a post about this and I'm going to put that link in my bio so that people can go directly there.
Very cool, man. Yeah, this is a great thing to do, Max. We appreciate it.
Well, all right, my man. Thank you is there anything else you have for me while I'm here?
I think we're good. You got any questions for me?
I think it's pretty straightforward. And you just sent me over this flyer that we're looking at. So I think I've got everything I need.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Well, any questions pop up, you know where to get me.
I got you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Yeah. So we can just stop recording real quick. I think what I'm gonna do is I'll probably post
Mhm.
the whole thing if I can on my YouTube.